My name is Jeff Mould, and I'm the Executive Director of Vivo Kitchen Restaurants in Apple Valley, Minnesota. And my role is to set the business strategy and the brand of Vivo Kitchen, and with the goal of being transformative of what the public and the Vivo team can expect of working for a restaurant. One of the things that we had identified is that there are a lot of things that the restaurant industry does well, and there are some things in the restaurant industry that the industry itself is notorious for not being a best practice user of different processes and systems. And so we've identified what we believe are 5 or 6 of those things that we want to lead the way and be the example of being transformative in that way. And one of the things that the restaurant industry is known for is high turnover. And we really wanted to identify a better onboarding system and process and the ability to communicate our values to candidates before hiring, knowing that that would get us better hires, higher retention, and more loyal employees for the time that they worked for Vivo. A lot of the restaurant industry works on a day-to-day basis. One of the phrases that we want to transform is "you're only as good as your last day." And that manifests itself in a lot of different ways. In hiring and training, the way it manifests itself is a very reactionary hiring process. And that reactionary hiring process is usually very inconsistent, and it's based on whatever manager is in the building on a given day. And so we were looking for solutions that could standardize the process. We were looking for solutions that could consistently be trained to for the hiring managers and then used consistently. We're also looking for a solution that would send a message to candidates about our seriousness of their careers, the intentionality and just the way that we really wanted to bring out the possibility and what they wanted out of their careers. And so we really had not been exposed to too many solutions that offered all of those different needs in one package. And what HT brought to the table, and the first time I looked at it, was number one, from a candidate standpoint, it really set the tone of if a candidate couldn't take 15 to 20 minutes to fill out the profile, we kind of just knew that they probably wouldn't be a good candidate. We're looking for people that were willing to recognize the Vivo name and the brand and to trust that brand, and that if we needed them to do a 15, 20-minute profile, then that's what needed to be done in order to join the team, or to at least be considered to join the team. So we loved that part of it. We loved the intuitive nature of the profile, that it wasn't corporate feeling, and that the questions weren't in-depth and layered and complex. They were very easy questions to answer. Internally, what made it stand out was the information about the candidate that we were given through the profile. To be given life priorities and work behaviors and motivators and ideal work settings, and to be able to set up ideal profiles for different positions to look at candidates in comparison to, really allowed us to develop benchmarks and baselines of what we were looking for. The analytics that HT provides by way of looking at teams and groups, that you could look at behaviors and motivators and ideal work settings by teams, really allowed us to identify best candidates earlier on in the process, and be able to get them in for an interview quicker Um, I would say that the ability to go back and look at previous employees who have left the company for various reasons, and in hindsight, go back and revisit their profile, and know how they worked with the team, has given us even greater insight into how to read the profiles and use the profile portion of HT in our hiring process. And then another appealing feature of HT was just the ability to use HT for training. The training modules that are part of the software that allow us to create unique training solutions for our team that are specific to jobs or the entire team at Vivo is something that we've used. I don't know that we've fully utilized it, but we fully intend to fully utilize it in the future. And we actually have team members that used it in the past and ask management when we're going to get back to using it. And so for the team members that have used the training portion of it, they really resonated with not only how the training performed, but that it said something about the company that they were a part of, that their professional development and their empowerment mattered to us, and that we were actually acting on that. So probably the biggest resolution that HT brought us was that it put the onboarding and hiring process into our hands, and we went from being very reactive to being proactive, and it allowed us to bring a tremendous amount of consistency to the onboarding process. And what that looks like now is before we would scramble when a candidate came in the door to give them a paper application and then try and figure out a time to interview with them. And the interview questions weren't standardized, and as a result of HT in the profile, we've actually created a system that every candidate that submits an application and a profile, we print the profile out. It goes into a manila envelope or folder. We have developed standardized interview questions for a first interview. We've developed standardized interview questions for a second interview. And the process has become much more efficient. It's become much more professional. The impression that the candidates have of our brand and the seriousness and the readiness that we have in the interview process, if those candidates are hired, allows that candidate to hold us accountable in how they are treated as a team member of Vivo based on the onboarding process. And I'm really proud of that part of what we do. We practice servant leadership here. We empower our team members, and then we let those team members know they can hold their leadership team accountable to do what we say we're going to do. And so the level of accountability across the board has gotten much, much better and more efficient. In terms of retention, we used to have to hire with the expectation that we would not retain somewhere between 50 and 75% of the hires that we brought on. So we would overhire by a tremendous margin, knowing that the inefficiency of the onboarding process would create loss, and that just what we communicated and how we communicated during that process would weed people out. They just would move on to another place. But because of the onboarding process, the candidate selection of who we offer jobs to, we have gone to a much higher retention within the first 60 days than we used to have. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really, really happy that we are bringing candidates into the training process with a high expectation that they are going to be retained beyond the first 60 days, and that they are going to become productive team members of what our goals are as a business, and that they are going to be assured that the management team is going to understand what their professional career goals are, and that our management team, through the use of HT, are going to work towards their professional development, and that we are going to champion their successes. Prior to HT, that was hard information to find out. And it took a long time to find it out, and we'd have turnover sometimes before we'd be able to get down to that layer. HT gives us that information at the front end. So the return on investment, as everybody knows, turnover costs money. We have lower turnover. Our training dollars are less than they used to be, and our retention is higher. Our team members are better trained. They're better prepared for the expectations of the job. And that just makes them better at what they do, and it saves the company money. Probably what I've been most impressed with is the collaborative relationship of the HT team. I've been doing software implementation for the better part of 20 years. I'm not aware of working and partnering with a company that has been as accessible and collaborative as the HT team, that has been more open to feedback about how HT is used in the real world. And I can tell you that my experience has been, we have seen implementation of recommendations that we have made to HT rolled out. And that's been very, very exciting, not only because it benefits us, but I believe that implementation of those ideas is going to benefit all HT users, which benefits the marketplace in general. So probably, I would say without a doubt, I have been very, very impressed with just the engagement of the HT team in general, and their desire to be current and relevant to how the tool is used. If I had anything to say to anyone that was considering HT, it's an absolute worthwhile investment. We are a 4.2 million annual revenue restaurant. We have 85 employees that range from seasonal to full-time. And it is absolutely a tool that has been implemented with training across the board with our management team. And it's been very welcomed by everybody on our team as a tool that's been very, very important to our growth and to the development of our team. Thank you.